Investigators in the Alec Baldwin movie set shooting are trying to work out how two people inspected the gun but failed to notice a live round inside it. Local authorities in Santa Fe County, New Mexico, are leading the investigation and have just finished a press conference to update people on the case. 600 items have been recovered, including 3 guns and 500 rounds of ammunition. Actor and producer Alec Baldwin was practicing for a scene when he shot and killed film cinematographer Halyna Hutchins on the set of the low-budget film Rust. The director was also injured but survived. So far, there are no criminal charges, but plenty of unanswered questions, including how no one noticed the gun was loaded.
That's what we're trying to determine. The people that inspected or handled the firearm when it was loaded, before it got to Mr. Baldwin, we're interviewing. And there's some follow-up questions that we need to do. So there's further investigation, further interviews, and we're going to try and determine exactly how that happened and if they should have known that there was a live round in that firearm.
Well, let's go through this with Karen Helmstedt from DW Culture. Welcome, Karen. So what else did we learn from that press conference?
Well, very little, actually. It's really interesting. It's almost actually baffling. I mean, when you consider that this is nearly a week ago, the information was pretty sketchy, but no one has been charged, and yet no one has been ruled out. Absolutely no one on the set. So criminal charges themselves have not been ruled out. We learned that the gun that Alec Baldwin was using was a vintage pistol that did indeed contain a live lead round. And they've recovered that lead projectile from the shoulder of the wounded director, Joel Souza. But the evaluation of these various ballistics analytics analyses and forensic evidence seems to be ongoing. And as we heard there, or as you mentioned, the investigators have confirmed this seizing of many, many rounds of ammunition from the set, which is really, frankly, very bizarre because the director himself has actually told investigators that there's no need for live rounds on his movie set. He wasn't aware that they were there. So it really remains, as we heard, to be seen how they got into this gun, who was last in contact with the weapon before the assistant director actually handed it over to Alec Baldwin, saying that it was safe. It was a real gun, it was not a prop, and it's pretty clear that these investigations are really just beginning.
Let's talk about the assistant director that you mentioned there, David Halls, there's been a lot of focus on him in the last week or so.
There has indeed, because we do know, and sort of details have leaked out over the past few days, that he has been the subject of complaints on previous productions over the past couple of years. In the past, it's been noted and complained about that he's relatively lax with safety protocols. He doesn't always follow the rules. He tends to push his teams very hard and sometimes over time, raising sort of questions about the general safety of staff under his watch. There were apparently also 2 other accidental gun discharges on this set just days before this accident happened. So there are a lot of questions around why the firearms specialist, Ms. Halyna Hutchins, wasn't on top of what was actually going into the weapons on her set. If the director was under the impression that things were not, that no live rounds were present. And of course, why the assistant director, Mr. Halls, didn't check that weapon one more time before handing it to Mr. Baldwin and saying it was a Colt gun.
OK, so we have this press conference that happened in the last hour or so. But the investigation is ongoing. So
yes, and
what
I
can
think,
we expect?
Well, the district attorney has said that it could take weeks and months. She has also mentioned that she likes to be very thorough. I think they're being very careful about this. They want to make sure that they collect all of the forensic evidence. They have a crew of, I think, around 100 people. They intend to question and conduct interviews with every single one of them. So that, of course, will take time. The fact that there were a lot of tensions and labor disputes actually happening on the set already from the beginning of filming in early October adds another dimension that I guess the investigators definitely don't want to ignore. So they're trying to be thorough and being very, very cautious with what they release.
OK, thank you for that, Karen. Karen Helmstedt from DW Culture.